Three, two, one. Hey, it's Wild Josh from Geek-Cetera, and I am joined by Chase and Colton. And tonight we're going to talk about WandaVision episodes 1 and 2, which just came out on Friday, and we're excited to dive into this. Now, let's get geeky. So, what did you guys think right off the bat? What were your initial feelings on it? We'll start with Colton.
I thought it was definitely interesting. It's one of the, in some ways, one of the strangest shows I've ever watched.
You've seen Lost.
It's true, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely a little out there. It was more, it was kind of, I kind of expected it to be a little sitcom-y from the trailer, but it definitely leaned into the whole 50s sitcom thing, but with the interesting twist with them being the superheroes, obviously. So I thought it was cool. It feels like there could be a lot of payoff in the end. Like it could really turn into something really good. But definitely interesting.
Yeah. What about you, Chase? What were your initial thoughts on it?
It was better than I expected. I remember when we talked about the trailer, I was just like, does this really need to exist? But obviously I watched both episodes, and I didn't hate them, so they've got that going. I thought it was actually pretty funny. It was funnier than I was expecting, considering it to be based off a sitcom, which, I don't know, are not usually that funny to me. It was cool, though. I think from the first two episodes, it gives us more of the second episode. But there's a lot of questions and a lot of places I feel like they could go from this. So it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the season is like.
Yeah, I would agree with the sitcom idea. I know that, obviously from the trailer we saw it was going to be sitcom-y. It was actually more sitcom-y than I was anticipating. I thought there was going to be set in a sitcom, but there was going to be more trying to figure out what was going on. And obviously it built on that. There was less of that in episode 1 than there was in episode 2. So we can see it's building towards that. But it was definitely more sitcom-y. When it first started, I was really confused, watching the first episode when it was like the Dick Van Dyke Show or like one of those old shows, and they're just having banter in the kitchen. And I was like, what is going on? This is so weird. It does not feel like it fits. But I got into it a little bit, and I enjoyed it. There was, I think in the first episode anyways, the only real tie into that something isn't right here was the dinner party, right?
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Where they're just... that was weird. Completely weird. What is going on? Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say almost like Wanda breaks the fourth wall, but is it really a fourth wall when it's I don't know, because she all of a sudden her reaction completely changed from being sitcom, yeah, and then she's like, Vision, save him. That was kind of interesting.
I liked how they did a lot of the effects, though. That it felt like they were trying to mimic that time period, because they could have just used CG from what they have now, but it literally felt like some of those things, behind the scenes there was a guy holding the plate on a stick and moving it up and down and around, and it's just
completely practical effects.
Yes.
Like they would have been in, whatever 1950s sitcom. String and wire kind of stuff. Yeah, that was great. I love that. It was it kind of reminded me, did you guys ever watch Bewitched when you were kids? Or I Dream a Genie or anything like that? It was very like that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
The first episode I thought was shorter than I was anticipating. I saw going in that it was 30 minutes, but it was not 30 minutes.
That's fair, because I looked it up and it's 30 minutes. This is a good length for episode 1, but it was 18 minutes with 12 minutes of
Yeah.
it's
What
true.
was up with that?
I don't know.
Like,
I
A
mean,
lot of credits.
well,
I was thinking maybe this is just for the first episode, but the second episode was just as bad.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was like I felt like during the Mandalorian there was a lot of credits because there was always like 4 or 5 minutes worth of credits. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
but then this it was what 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I understand that they do excellent production quality, but this doesn't need to be like full length movie credits. I mean, no other show really does that.
Yeah. And at the end too, when I went to stop it and I saw that there was still like 8 minutes left, I'm like, oh, we're getting like end credit scene or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like watching and watching and nothing, just name after name after name. I'm like,
So
okay,
in the
that was a
first,
waste of time. I'm never getting that
yeah,
back.
the first episode, I didn't quite know that like the credits were even starting because it cuts out to like that fuzzy TV screen and you're like, okay,
Mm.
they're kind of like zooming back a bit and you're gonna get a bit more of that story, but no, it was zooming back and then you're getting an external credits, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, that was the end of the episode? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I was thinking that everything that had happened before that point was like an intro, and I'm like, okay, here's the real episode. It's starting now, and then it was credits, and I was
Hmm.
like, what? What just happened here?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Do you guys think that like I think that's definitely was part of the show though. It wasn't just like a credit effects where it was like zooming out to
right.
showing TV screen and everything. It was like
I don't know how to feel about that because the second episode was the same way.
yeah, but I think that they were trying to show something with that fact that like they were kind of watching what was going on in her mind almost or
Okay, maybe so.
something.
Let's talk about that for a second because uh, Colton put together a game night the other night and we were talking a bit about this. And one of the theories that one of the guys said that I liked was that they have this is we had talked about this is Wanda trapped in her own mind, but
Hmm.
this he was saying that somebody has her trapped and she's
Mm.
trying to figure out like first of all that she is trapped and how to get out, which I like that better than just her dealing with this in her own mind kind of, or somebody, I don't know.
I
I just want
agree, and I get the feeling that because of I forget if it was in episode 1 or 2 now, where someone was like, Wanda, can you hear us? Wanda, Wanda. Like there's almost a
mm,
team of people trying to snap her out of it
yeah,
around
Who's
her.
doing this to you? Who's doing this to you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that
I
was
think
kind of interesting. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Colton.
oh, it's okay.
Chase was asking before we started recording if that was Captain America's voice. We tried to look it up. He didn't appear in any of the credits on IMDb, so we're not really sure. But
Yeah, I was
would
wondering who that was as well, but I didn't recognize the voice
My
exactly.
first thought was that it was Cap, but then it didn't really sound like it when you hear it like the second time, and so I don't know.
yeah, I'm really curious as to who that could be. You would think it would be a character that we've already been introduced to, but maybe not for some reason.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
The other thing I wanted to touch on is this logo that we've started to see throughout the last 2 episodes
Yeah.
of the circle with the sword in the middle and whose sword is. I had no idea that this even existed in Marvel. I thought maybe it was something that was made up specifically for the show, but I did look it up. Are you guys familiar with sword?
No.
Or sorry, Colton.
I just saw like in the Discord what the name of it was and stuff,
Okay.
but I didn't
So,
know anything ahead of time.
so I looked, and sword is actually part of Shield.
Mhm.
So it stands for Sentient World Observation and Response Department, and they're basically the shield of space and extraterrestrials, which is interesting, I guess. So
Now I'm jumping on board that Shield has kind of put her in prison because the reason the whole Civil War thing kind of happens is because of Wanda and the Sokovia Accords and
mhm.
the hero's powers not being kept in check, and so, Shield complies with the Sokovia Accords, which is why they have that list of powered or enhanced people. So what if Wanda has gotten too far out of control where they have to do this to her, or somebody was like controlling her and she became evil, and they put her in like this stasis to figure out who drove her insane or drove her to the dark side, quote unquote.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which
Could
could be
be.
the like, who's doing this to you, Wanda? Like they're trying to get answers from her while keeping her peaceful and sedated.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
the one thing I was thinking too is like just a couple things I had thought of, not entirely related to this, but just like going back to like that first scene in the first episode with Mr. Hart, his boss, and he starts choking, and that whole scene. It seemed like to me like as soon as that, and also the scene in the second episode where she cuts her hand, the other lady cuts her hand on the cup, that it goes into this like thing where it's like something weird is going on, but then as soon as it's over, it feels like those characters aren't recognizing that anything weird happened anymore.
Yeah.
Like they didn't realize that anything weird happened,
Yeah,
which goes along with my theory that it's with the idea that it's all in her head and she's kind of like, but and then the other thing that I noticed too is that like normally Wanda's powers aren't really generally make things appear out of thin air like she does in this show, right?
Mm.
Unless I'm wrong, but like she has the ability to like control people, kind of like make people see things that aren't real.
Yeah, you're talking about
But
like the magic show kind of where the
yeah,
piano turns
and
into
she
like
like
she like kind of covers everything that
she like
Vision does.
and she does that a couple times
Yeah,
throughout the episodes where
I
she just
hadn't
like
even
makes
thought about that.
things, you know.
Uh-huh.
But that's not really in her powers generally.
No,
She
that's a good
has.
point. I hadn't
So
thought about
again,
that.
that kind of lends to the idea that it's in her head, and she kind of that's why she has that kind of control. But
Yeah, and you know what? It kind of reminded me at the beginning of this whole thing is, you guys remember the movie Pleasantville? It's a little bit older, but it was like all black and white. But as people would do things, like almost like forward thinking things, like color would start to trickle in to the movie, and then by the end of the movie, like everything was almost colored, and it kind of reminded me of that. Like you see like little spots of color, like in the commercial, that little toaster oven thing. It was like blinking red. And then you mentioned when the girl cuts her hand, the blood was red.
and the helicopter was
The
red.
helicopter was red, and certain things are red, and it really is kind of interesting as to what is going on. Like, if it really all is in her head, why? Like, what's causing some of the color? But I guess as we go in to the next one, it looks like more color is going to be there, and also that Wanda is pregnant.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting. And like kind of far along pregnant too. Like it doesn't seem like that much time has passed, but she's showing and she's pregnant.
I was gonna say, speaking of the pregnant, we have somebody in the chat who was talking about the neighbor, Agnes.
Yeah, Agnes.
What
I do agree with what he said that there's. I feel like there's something with her.
I think so too, because I'm trying to remember back to the trailer, and it felt like she was like farther along in the trailer, like with Vision, and like I couldn't tell if Vision was like being captured or something, but it seemed like she was part of that. So I wonder if if this is Sword working in. I really enunciated the W there, Sword. I don't know why that caught me off guard. But if this is them working in her head, maybe they have a plant, somebody who's like able to help go in there and manipulate it, so that way they can kind of control this dream space.
True.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that for sure, because Agnes put herself in the Wanda never went to Agnes. Yeah. Agnes goes there. Agnes shows up during the dinner party and is trying to insert herself into everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Almost too forcefully.
She brought her to the neighbors, the planning committee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something along with that too, that just a random thought that my girlfriend actually brought up to me was when we were watching it, or a couple days after we watched it. She mentioned that Agnes is always talking about her husband, and she's like talking about her husband, and like constantly she brings it up multiple times. But then we haven't actually met her husband at all yet, which was something that was kind of interesting. Like, okay, well, where is he? You know, like.
Yeah, and she talks about Vision too. Like, you need to make sure you keep him happy, and you need to do these things to keep your husband. And she does suggest when are they going to have children, and then now Wanda is pregnant. So like it's almost like she is manipulating Wanda in a way, to make things happen in a certain way that
even
Agnes
just, like,
wants.
in the first episode, sort of where she kind of like forced Wanda to talk about why the date was so special, the anniversary, and kind of like forced that into being their anniversary now. So
True. Yeah.
That's true too.
And they then decide, okay, well, this is our anniversary now.
Yeah.
That's just such a weird, like, completely sidetracked here. If I was to have dinner with my boss, I would write dinner with the boss, not just the symbol of a heart. So when you get confused, you're like, huh, what is that for? Oh, the hearts. Obviously, that's what I meant. Like, what? Come on.
Yeah. But I'm really curious to see. It's definitely going to advance, I feel like, in episode 3 to where there'll be more. We'll probably be left with more questions at the end of it.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be less sitcom-y, more like what's going on.
To me, I don't know about you, but it looks like we finally get everything is going to be in full color now, it looks like.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go back to the black and white.
So it's interesting, too. Like, it has, in some ways, almost like, wow, it's so sitcom-y so far. It kind of has that vibe almost of like a psychological thriller almost, where you're like, what's going on? Like, this seems like really strange. Like, it's almost,
Yeah. It has that feeling too. Like there was a TV show back a while back, and I can't even remember the name of it now, that I really liked, where it was a town and like you didn't know anything about this town, and I'm kicking myself for not remembering the name of this show. And it was all about this town, and there's like more going on in this town than meets the eye.
Is that the one that they just did the reboot of with what was it? The Key and Peele guy. Is that the show you're thinking of? Well, I can't remember the name of it. Because that was another just like weird show. I keep wanting to say Stranger Things, but it's not Stranger Things.
No. Man, it's killing me.
Yeah.
But it'll come to me at some point, and I'll just spit it out. But so yeah, it's just there's definitely something going on, and it's really curious. I forget where I was going with that whole thing now. That fact that I can't come up with the name of the show is throwing my whole train of thought off. But,
it almost has almost like kind of Truman Show.
Yeah. But I was watching a Screen Crush before we came on, and they had put out 2 episodes, one on episode 1 and one on episode 2, and talked about all the Easter eggs. And it was more like ties to like sitcom Easter eggs. I was hoping for more like Marvel Easter eggs. But one of the things they said was that
Twilight Zone.
At the Twilight Zone. I do love Twilight Zone.
That's what I was thinking of.
That's not what I was thinking of.
Yeah, sorry.
But that's okay. The first episode, like the house was very simple. The neighborhood, like there was only a couple houses on it. Then you go into the second episode, the house is more full. There's more stuff. It looks a little different. The neighborhood's fuller, and they were talking about on Screen Crush how if this really is all in her head, it could be that the longer she's in there, her brain is now filling in the space more and more.
Well, that goes almost along with a theory that I kind of had with the because at the end, obviously, there's the scene with the beekeeper, and then she says no, and it rewinds, and then right after that, it goes into color. And I was almost thinking when I watched it the second time, it almost seemed like she was like almost convincing herself more and more that this was reality. And that's when it started to go more into color. So it's almost like maybe she's like slowly like getting more and more like thinking, involving herself more and more into this fake world that she's creating, and almost like thinking that it's reality, and it's slowly becoming more and more like real because of that.
So
I like that idea.
is she doing that just because Vision is still there and she doesn't want to go back to a world where he isn't, or is she doing that because of some other like reason, like I don't know,
Yeah,
like
no, I
she's
mean,
trying to protect herself from Sword or something,
Yeah.
and so she's
I
like, no.
I do think it's interesting too. Like you said, when she sees the beekeeper, she says no.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really thought of this. Like almost like she recognized what was happening. Like it wasn't scaring her. It wasn't like she was. She recognized what was happening. Maybe even recognized who that was,
Mm-hmm.
and was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Let's rewind and go back." She wants to stay in that place.
Yeah.
sure.
That's weird. I hadn't thought about that at all. That's a good
Yeah.
point, Colton.
So, anything else?
We didn't talk about Strucker.
Oh yeah,
Just with the
Yeah.
both the commercials were really cool. Like a tie back to Stark in the
Yep.
first one with
Stark
the
with the
toaster
toaster.
oven, and then the watch, the Strucker watch,
Yep.
which says right on it. Wait,
Hydra.
what did it say? Hail Hydra, or did it say Hydra lives?
Yeah, it had
Ah, I didn't pay attention to that. I just saw the Hydra logo.
Now I want to Google it
Yeah. If that's Hydra
because
lives, then that could be, I don't know, because maybe then Hydra got to her, and that's why Sword is trying to keep her in, like, the stasis. I don't know. And figure out who is Hydra. I don't know. I'm just trying to
So
build my own
okay, it
crazy
doesn't say. It
theory.
just says Hydra. It just says
Just
Hydra,
says Hydra.
and it has the symbol,
Yeah.
and then it says 1,000 meters. Swiss made, which is kind of interesting. Shouldn't it be German? Wasn't Strucker German?
Yeah.
yeah,
But everybody likes a good Swiss watch.
Yeah, it's true.
sure.
So
Yeah,
that was actually really
yeah, that
cool.
was cool Easter eggs and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see what they do in in the next one. I bet you there's a commercial in every one.
Probably. Yeah, I thought something that, as far as like going forward with Marvel and everything too, I know that we looked it up and it said something about there was something about Kevin Feige saying like that this show will be kind of setting up for the new Spider-Man and the new Doctor Strange, which I don't really entirely know how this is going to play into that.
Multiverse.
But it's interesting to know that something in this show is going to sort of set up for those, and we know that those are going to be like, involved with the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know like what that means entirely, but
Yeah.
Mm. And the next thing that comes in line after WandaVision is Oh, it's Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Soldier.
So I'm curious to see if there will be any tie-in to that, or if that is a strictly separate show that takes place in a different time period or different place and time. So
What
it's not
is the time
connected
period
at all.
of this? When is this show taking place? Is this taking place after Endgame or is this before Endgame? But like post snap.
I guess I don't know, but I was thinking it was taking place after
Yeah.
Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it says technically, but that's kind of what we assumed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of like some stuff that I was reading about how a lot of people weren't liking the show too because they're like, or feeling like it was kind of a dumb story because they're like used to Marvel being so much about like fighting all these big bad villains, and then this one it's just kind of about her like dealing with emotional trauma.
I think it'll get there. There will be some climactic flourish to it. I don't think this is just
I
gonna
agree,
be
but
I don't think this is just gonna be in her mind. I think it's gonna have some real world application. Quote
Yeah, I
unquote
think
real
it's going
world.
to wrap up
Yeah.
outside of this sitcom
Mhm.
universe that she's created. I would be surprised if it didn't, anyways.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right.
Now, do you guys think that this will be like, I don't know if they've announced anything. Do you think this will be like a multiple season thing, or do you think it'll kind of just like wrap up one story arc and
That's
That's a good question. On IMDb, it calls it a mini series. So that gives me the idea that it's just a one and done.
Yeah.
9 episodes, I believe, is what it says.
Yeah. And I heard somebody was telling me today at work that they heard that they're going to release it like 3 episodes this weekend, this
Really?
Friday, and then like every other Friday after that instead of like once a week like they did with Mandalorian. I
Oh,
don't know
really?
where
Really
they got
weird.
that information entirely. I don't know if that's accurate or
Yeah.
not. But
So they said that. Let me see if it says here.
Even still, that'd be like I was
So
happy when I saw that we had 2 episodes because I was like, oh, good. You
yeah,
give us an intro episode and an episode that actually has some substance, which is kind of what they did. And
yeah,
like the first one was
Cool.
very light, and then that second one you got into the like sword and the more of the color stuff. But
according to IMDb, after this we get one a week.
oh,
So episode 3 is
Yeah.
January
you
22nd,
got
and episode 4 is the 29th. 5 is
okay.
February 5th. It goes all the way till March 5th,
Hmm.
where we get episode 9.
Yeah.
Which
Alright.
I like that.
that's much
I
better.
don't,
Yeah.
I don't need
Yeah,
a week
I
off.
could do it. That seems like kind of a weird
That'd be
thing
really
that
yeah.
somebody said that. I was like, huh,
That'd be
Yeah.
really weird to give us 3 episodes at a time
yeah.
for one like, and then no, you get to starve yourself. Like portion
Yeah.
this out.
Yeah.
How dare you?
No,
try
it's
and
true. And it'll be better too because it'll stretch it out up to like closer to when they're gonna release
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter.
Yeah. How dare you try and
That
teach
seems like-
geeks moderation?
Yeah, true. We need the whole season right away.
Yeah, we're good at
Binge it.
binging it. Give us a season per week and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Season.
All right.
We
Anything
need
else?
52 series this year.
I'm
One
good with that. Well, they
seasons
don't all
of
have to be
Marvel.
Marvel. They
Yeah.
could be some Star Wars. You just have to make sure that
Yeah,
you know there's
They
a
don't
season every
overlap.
week.
Can't have overlap. That'd be just like worlds colliding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that's it. Anyone notice Monica Rambeau cameo in episode 2?
I did not.
No.
No, I did not.
Is she
Go back.
the person inside the magic thing?
That's a good question. I'm gonna go look.
No, I don't know.
The character's name in the show, anyways, is Geraldine. Is it the actress here? Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. That is who it is.
Interesting.
She's listed as in Captain Marvel 2 as Monica Rambeau.
So she's the adult, but no.
She's the adult Monica Rambeau.
Okay, now I'm wondering if
Now, how is she in there?
well, no, now I'm starting to wonder because you can make the argument that she joins Shield or Sword.
Yeah,
Maybe
Yeah.
everybody in
she's
this
the plant.
maybe everybody in this dream ends up being a plant.
Could be.
Like they had
Maybe
had to
it's
use a
some-
likeness in order to like program them into this dream that Wanda's having.
Or it's just somebody that she's seen before, and so she's kind of like subconsciously
When would
putting
she
people
seen
those without putting, I don't know, but they haven't shown anybody else. It'd be interesting to see if there was like any other cameos of like
Yeah.
bigger superheroes or something. Or...
No, that's really interesting. I'm glad
Yeah.
that we live streamed this way we got this information. I don't think we
Yeah.
would have ever noticed.
Hmm.
I agree. That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
It's a really good catch.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So I think that's everything. We're gonna have to wait till see what comes out next week, or on Friday at this point. But I'm pretty excited. I mean, I'm not like Mandalorian excited for the episodes to come out, but maybe we'll get there. We'll see. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're gonna have a live stream next Monday at 7ish on WandaVision episode 3. So make sure to hit the bell icon if you want to get notified when that goes live. And leave a comment too on the video. That really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps promote these videos. And we love putting out content for you guys. So thanks. And I don't even have a last word. I'll just say I love you 5,000.